Welcome to Deal Talk. I'm Jeffrey Veit. As usual, we're going to talk about avoiding dealer tricks and buying smart so that you can save big when you purchase a car, truck, motorcycle, boat, motorhome, and avoid any of the trick. Come on, which are getting worse, you know? It's not just fake news. There's a lot of other fake stuff, but the EV corner is pretty busy these days. No question about it. There's a lot of talk about electric vehicles. The left and the rest of the group are trying to do anything they can to get you to buy an electric vehicle. Yep, them and the news. The facts are that sales are actually going down. That's new in the news this week. I don't know if you read that, but electric vehicle sales are dropping. They're not getting better. They're getting worse. And the reason they're getting worse is because people are getting the news, right? The facts are that the sales are actually, dropped off quite a chunk. The truth about global warming is being recognized, so people now know EVs won't matter as a climate issue. So if you're buying one really because you want to have an electric vehicle, because that's what you think you'd like to have. And that's fine. I'm for them being in the market. I'm not against you saying they should stop selling them. I'm just saying they shouldn't give advantages to them over gas vehicles, and they shouldn't cut down gas production, because you'll find out that they just won't. For the difference in all the major differences, they're not going to sell very many. And they probably know that, and they don't like the sounds of that. They'll do anything to get you to buy anything. In Colorado, they give you $6,000 for your trade, no matter what. What's it called? Junker. $6,000 junker deal. Sounds good, but the vehicles are so overpriced it really doesn't help. You know what I mean? If your vehicle is $15,000 more than a gas vehicle, and they're giving you $6,000 for your trade, so really, if your trade's worth $1,000 or two, that's like a $4,000 discount. That's still not enough. That's not even remotely close to enough. Sounds good. Recent surveys show that 65% of the people in America won't even look at an electric vehicle. There are many reasons EVs are a bad idea. Lots of them, and I've given you tons of them. I think I've given you a total of 40. The government links it to price. They think it's just price. It's not, obviously, price, because there are a couple models that have gotten down to $33,000 base price, so you can get one out the door for $37,000 or $38,000, which is, still a lot of dough. You could buy the comparable vehicle for at least $10,000 less. But there's other issues. There's the resale value that you're going to lose at 4 or 5 years, the safety issues, the convenience, the security, all these things that come into play on that vehicle that they don't even talk about that. The government puts their head in the sand on that one because they don't care. They don't, unfortunately, and I don't know if you'll agree with me or not, but I have enough evidence to prove what I'm saying. Our government lies to us a lot more than they used to, or maybe they're just getting caught more. But it's definitely more than they used to, in my opinion. But the basic EV battery cost has dropped, and that's true. Since 2008, it's dropped quite a chunk, but it's still it dropped from ridiculous to absolutely insane. It's still crazy. The cheapest electric battery costs about $8,000, plus installation and disposal of the old battery. So the maintenance of an electric vehicle would be $12,000 to $13,000 in the first 5 years of ownership. If you take the battery, and you take in consideration normal maintenance that all vehicles have, brakes and shocks and tires and stuff like that, which will wear out more on an electric vehicle compared to its duplicate in gas, because it weighs 1,000 pounds more, and more weight wears out tires and wears out shock absorbers and wears out brakes quicker, and it's still going to be a little bit more. But even if it wasn't, after 5 years, you're at 13,000. Have you ever spent even $3,000 or $4,000 on a gas vehicle in the first 5 years? I never have. I don't know anybody that has. Maybe if you had a wreck, but we're not talking about body damage. We're talking about maintenance and upkeep. No. So there's still $8,000 or $9,000 out in the whacker. That's crazy. It's like talking to a brick wall. They can't do any better, and now they've gotten themselves in a corner where they just got to keep pushing them. These are real costs. Not counting, like I said, the other issues like fire, emergency stopping, resale value. That's really the biggest one in terms of the dollars. Location, right? Distance safety for stopping. It's like trying to solve a public weight issue by making everyone buy gold sneakers and then walk wherever they go. The government forcing that. Same idea. It's the same thing. It's not much difference. The advertising is more fake news, too. It really is. Storms and forest fires and health issues are all blamed on global warming. Not. That's not true. It's just not the case. The fake news are allowed to lie and make up stories without being verified and without facts. They do what the money groups want. Control of the public. That's what it boils down to. You've got different groups in society. You've got the health group. You've got the stock market group, right? You've got these groups of businesses that control that segment of the market. I think it's fair to say that most people are realizing that shutting off fossil fuels has hurt our economy severely, all in the name of a false story. That's the real bad news. Is it'd be different if we'd done all that and we were saving the day, but we're not. It's baloney. If you like the podcast, please take a couple of minutes and do a review on Apple Podcasts or Google Play or whatever podcast source you use. If you've already done a review, thank you very much, and a lot of you have. I really appreciate it. Be sure you tell your friends and family about the podcast. They'll save you money and grief, and you'll be a hero. So if you can, do that. Those of you who would like some written material to carry with you when you're shopping, get a copy of The Informed Buyer from Amazon Kindle, Barnes & Noble Nook. It'll give you the basics for quick reference when you're in the buying process, and it costs $3. And don't forget that Deal Talk is also on YouTube. Now, there's no video. Who wants to sit and look at me talking for 45 minutes? I wouldn't, right? So I've just got a picture of the logo, but you can listen to it that way if it's more convenient. So that's all I'm saying. You can listen on YouTube. It's posted there just in case somebody wants that particular way of listening. EV vehicle ads are plentiful, but manufacturers are not giving the public the real and complete story. They're convinced that lying is okay. That's what they believe. It's okay to lie to the public. The end justifies the means. It doesn't, but that's what they're assuming. They talk about charging distance, but they don't mention that those numbers are in optimum conditions and almost always not going to be the number. If you run accessories like the heat or the air conditioner, or have the seats full of people, or if you travel at highway speed, which most of us do, you're not going to get that gas mileage. And they don't tell you that, but that's the facts. The best mileage you're going to get is driving around town in an electric vehicle. All of these shorten the charging distance and can be significant. They use terms like get up to 300 miles. Yeah, but up to under most perfect conditions that you never have, right? They may offer big discounts. That's because they're way higher priced. And they can, because they're so far up there. And in fact, very high, way higher than the rebate makes up for. So even if you get a $4,000 rebate, it doesn't make up for $15,000. And most of those rebates are tax credit. First you have to make enough to have that tax credit. And the way the economy is going right now, that's not happening either for a lot of us, or most of us, right? If you're rich, fine. And you can handle it, and you don't care about the difference in price, and you don't care about your deal, then fine, go buy one. But I noticed that, and I haven't seen one. I've checked this too in where I live, in the area where I live, to see. I've checked with people that have one. They have a gas vehicle too. Yes, because you can't depend on those electric vehicles. You just can't. Or they'll try to scare you with possible lower values of gas vehicles and hard to find gas. That's not true. There are plenty of gas in the world, and inflation is making it higher. Sure it is, but still not enough to make up the kind of difference they're talking about. Look at charge your vehicle. That's pretty high now, too. It's not like electric isn't higher right along with gas. Of course it is. The benefits to the EV are not true, and in fact, they are being pressed by the current regime to fake the benefits, right? They're going to offer better values for your trade if you buy an EV. The markups and factory incentives allow, but, more of an incentive, but there's no free lunches out there. There is no free lunches. It's all a trick based on unseen incentives coming back to the dealer from the manufacturer and the government. Yep. Pretty soon you're going to have some companies where in Australia just recently they passed a rule that allows companies like Mercedes-Benz to have one price dealerships. In other words, they can tell their dealers they can't discount the vehicle. You come in and pay their price or that's it. Now, I don't think that'll ever happen in the U.S. because they outlawed it against Volkswagen back in the early 70s. So I don't think that happened here, but they did it in, that place is going crazy. It's almost socialist, Australia. It's a shame, but it's true. When the new group are elected in Congress, you'll see all of these programs turned around. They'll put a stop to the unfair suppression of gas, and in fact, we will all be in gas vehicles for a long time to come. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just not, like I said, they've been building these things since 1832, and they didn't, they just have basically the same problem. It's just much better. I mean, they have better doors now and all that, just like our cars do. But the big difference is that the problem then was how far they could go on a battery, and the problem now is how far you can go on the battery. Only now, in order to get it to go farther, they've made it dangerous. Downright dangerous. But anyway, so the advertising for electric is bad, but it's bad for all of them. So when you get into dealer advertising, you're talking about a problem. There's no question about it. There's newspaper, television, radio, billboard, and now social media. And for EVs, you have the Democratic Party pushing, right? They're all in different levels of intensity, and each ad source uses a different approach. Besides that, there's also the middle-of-the-road advertisers as well, like car finance companies and used vehicle dealers and banks and credit unions, insurance companies, who seem more believable and honest about pricing. But that's not true either. Often those additional sources don't understand the ad any more than a buyer. Or they know the tricks but don't care because they just want to make the loan. Which ads have value and which ones do not? Let's figure that out. Let's talk about that today. Not just EVs. That was EV corn. Let's get over past that. Let's talk about any vehicle, right? There are a lot of tricks that can be used in automotive advertising. A lot of them. But the purpose of dealer ads primarily is to direct to people that are already looking. It's just direct traffic. Dealers don't expect ads to motivate you to run out the door to buy. Look at that ad. Let's go, honey. Get the car. That's never going to work that way. They're looking for the people already shopping because they know certain people are shopping all the time, and they want to have ads in the air to just make sure you stop at their store. They want to tell you enough to draw you in, but not enough of the truth. Generally, weekends are when people shop for a vehicle, so dealers don't try to draw you out of the house at that time. They don't, give any real facts, just luring numbers and information you want to hear. They'll tell you what you want to hear. It's $350 a month. Well, they don't tell you that you need $4,000 down and the tax and the title and the dealer fee, and you're really coming up with $6,000 or $7,000. That doesn't come out, right? They make it sound like you'll miss a fantastic opportunity if you don't stop. In fact, they offer what appears to be a great deal. In most cases, the shoppers don't read the disclosure at the end of the ad, and if they do, it's difficult to understand anyway. It's not a simple process to figure out what are they trying, what do they mean by that, right? What they don't say can be just as bad or possibly worse than what they do. Required options or required financing or a particular trade-in or qualifying for a rebate instead of just being available. The factory-sponsored ads are more in line, no question about it. They have some misleading stuff and as well as the dealer does, but not anything I would call illegal, just small print, big print stuff. They're trying to get you out of the house and to the dealer ASAP to get you to look at the model in the ad. They realize that they've got to sell you the vehicle, and so they are trying to just get you in there to drive it. They're not concentrating so much on the deal as the dealer might. But they're going to do that. Now, when it comes to electric vehicles, the factory's been a little bit more on the edge of not quite up front. They're a little bit more aggressive at not telling the truth on those electric ones. But because the government's pushed them in a corner, they've got billions of dollars invested. So if it's not that they lie so much, they don't really lie. They just don't tell you the truth. They don't come out and say it'll get 360 miles to a charge no matter what. They don't say that. They'll say something like, you can get up to 360 miles on a single charge, up to. Yeah, it's just a play on words. Radio, paper, TV by dealers, all are phony, misleading in some way, but they always have an explanation or opportunity for the dealer. So a way to explain what the ad says in terms to make it look like they were upfront. In fact, that, they're fogging the deal won't seem so apparent when they say they come up with the rest. Oh yeah, but the ad has this or it has that, or that didn't include this or didn't include that, or they got generalities and under information. They really know how to do it. I mean, they do this every day, right? One common technique used by all dealers is the bait and switch, right? Every consumer advocate group knows about the bait and switch. It's a common trick, not just on cars. I don't care what it is, there's bait and switch. They'll tell you about some great thing that they have, and then when you get there, some other company, oh, wait, that doesn't include this or doesn't include that, or you have to add this, you have to add that. That's the same with many products, not just automobiles. Advertise a vehicle at a crazy low price, and when prospects get to the dealer, they're told, well, that vehicle in the ad was just sold. Or it's still here, but it's loaded with dealer ads that aren't in the ad. You can buy the car for that, but we've also added $2,000 worth of accessories to it that you have to buy too. And they advertise the stock number so that they can show it's gone. No matter how they print it or word it, the story is dishonest, and it tells you a lot about the dealership's integrity, or their lack of integrity, I should say. It really is surprising. Some bigger hardball approaches are advertising a price in the larger ad copy and then putting a very small disclosure at the bottom of the ad, right? The small print says things like plus factory and dealer options, and a list of other things. In other words, the price is just the base price. Meanwhile, you're standing in the dealership, and that's all they were looking for. So they'll worry about, yeah, but that doesn't include this, and they expect you to just go along with it, and you're already there, and so you look, and they're hoping that they can win you over with a salesperson or with their, the way they act and talk. Keep hoping it's going to make a difference, right? But you're there. That's the key. That's what they're worried about, is getting you in there. Other tricks are plays on payments and payment terms. That's another big one. They do that a lot. Lease or buy this vehicle for $350 a month. In the small print, it says plus tax, title, fees, and $5,000 down. That bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. One I see every now and then, not so much lately. I haven't seen it in a while. I haven't seen it in a few months. But I don't read every paper in the nation and stuff, so I can't tell you, but I haven't seen it myself. They'll advertise a super low payment, and it's biweekly. The only company that can justify biweekly is a buy here, pay here, because they don't want you to get in trouble, because their rate's so high and the car is so bad, and that's why they do it biweekly. But other than that, no bank sets up loans biweekly. But dealers that advertise it that way are obviously trying to trick you to get you in the door. $250 a month biweekly is, $250 biweekly is $500 a month. Do you know anyone besides a buy here, pay here that does that? No, neither do I. Or another common one is that they include 4 or 5 rebates that you don't qualify for, and the details are in the small disclosure print, like college graduate program and first-time buyer program and loyalty program. You aren't, you're at a Ford store and you don't own a Ford. You didn't just graduate from college, and it's not your first time buying. Well, there's rebates that you didn't qualify for that were in the ad, that you're at the dealership and they have a chance to sell you. That's what they're looking at, is a chance to win you over. And sometimes we just give up and figure that's going to happen to me anywhere, so I'll ignore it. Not me, boy. The minute I see some hocus pocus, I'm gone, because it's a culture. And I know from all my years in the business that when you have a problem with one of the departments in terms of integrity, in terms of honesty, it's going to be all through the dealership. There is a culture in a dealership, and it's either a good one or a bad one. So what was known in the larger ad copy only applies to a 1 in a million circumstance. When you get there, they hurry you in, tell you about fear of loss. Someone else is looking at it. We got 3 people looking at it. In some cases, pull your trade and your plates without even asking. A faster deal seldom works in the customer's favor. It seems that the big print gives and the small print takes away. That's how it works. Dealers advertise incredible prices and then disclosure in the small print at the bottom of the ad, like a list at the bottom. There'll be an asterisk, and then you go on next to the price, and then you go down the bottom of the ad, and there'll be a asterisk and a list of things. And maybe it doesn't. Some dealers don't even do that. They just blatantly break the rules. But Example of a closing, a common disclosure would be things like prices are plus destination charge, tax, tag, title, dealer fee of $800. All available factory rebates are included. Loyalty, college grad, active military, first-time buyer. First of all, rebates cut you out of any chance at a lower interest rate. And right now, low interest, 0% would be pretty appealing because rates have gone way up, right? Remember when we talked about the F&I department, a.k.a. the guy that does your paperwork? F&I is the abbreviation for Finance and Insurance Department, a.k.a. business office. And I talked about the reserve a dealer can receive from the finance. That can be why they require their finance company. Sometimes it's because the low rate is 0%, like I said, but most of the time it's not. In fact, statistics show that 0% is used a lot less until lately. Just lately, you're starting to see it more because it's more appealing. It will draw you in because the bank may want 6 or 7% on a new car, or 8%. I noticed that I have LIBOR mortgage and I have a LIBOR loan. It's a home improvement loan. And those two loans have really gone up a lot lately. I'm paying a lot more interest than I was. Thank you, Mr. Biden. And the same, that's why the car loans are higher. And so 0% is going to be a bigger driver like it was a few years ago. In the early 2012, 13, 14, before Mr. Trump was the president, rates were higher. But way before that, they were too. I mean, it was a lot of years that the interest rate for a new car was 11.83 or 12.83 it was. So it's not it's not crazy. That was with good credit too. They would much rather lock you in cash incentives so they have a chance to do your financing and get a kickback from the bank. So they're going to want to push the rebates on you. I mean, that's just, for them, it's a way to make some extra money. You got to just look at it both ways. That's right. You always look both ways. I mean, you might go to a dealership, they might have a $1,500 rebate or 5.99 or 2.99 or something. Get the payment both ways, taking the rebate and using your financing, because if you've done your due diligence, you know what the bank rate is, or use their rate and get it without the rebate. All the different possible variables. Get a quote every way. Figure it out with your own payment calculator every way, and see which payment comes out the less, and that's the way to go. What about ridiculous trade values? Boy, that's another one you run into, don't you? Holy smoke. I must have brought this up 2,000 times over the last few years. They offer 8,000 over current book values. They don't mention the book, though. What book? What values? What deductions? Based on what? They don't tell you any of that in the ad. It's never true. And or the big one that I brought up so many times is, we'll pay off your trade no matter what you owe. That sounds like they're going to give you, if you're upside down in your vehicle, $2,000 or $3,000, you're thinking, oh, wow, they'll give me a big trade-in value to get my business. No, they won't. They're just going to tack on that difference at the end. And every dealer you go to will try to get your financing. If you're upside down like that, we'll try to help you out. It's not something that should be advertised. That's why the Attorney General's office specifically talks about that one and says, tell dealers not to do it. That's one of the UDAP statutes. So it's definitely something to consider. When dealers are offering a high number over book for your trade, they're applying incentives you qualify for anyway, so that your trade looks like it's more, and they appease your desire for a great trade deal. It's money you would get anyway, so it's an insult to your intelligence. Some dealership sales departments or management staff have no respect for the consumer whatsoever. None. They just want to use everything in the book to get your business. If a dealer uses this kind of material in their ads, you should go elsewhere. No question about it. It doesn't get better after you buy. Like I said earlier, it's a culture, and it's not going to change. It's like other tricks that they have are things like employee pricing. Employee pricing, sure. I'm sure it's an employee pricing, but that doesn't mean it's anything special. And in fact, it never is. I don't know of any of the car dealers I've ever worked at in my life, any of them, that have really given a deal to the employees, more than $100 off or a couple $100 off. They just don't. You can buy for employee prices anytime you want. There's no question about it. Anytime you want to buy for employee prices, you're in like Flint, because they're just not good. There might be somebody somewhere, so I don't know, but I'm talking about 99% of the dealers. Another disclosure is plus tax, tag, title, dealer fee, and factory options. That's maybe a stripe and Scotch guard and 300 or 400 for mats and door edge guards and splash guards, and factory options maybe maybe $800 or $900. So if the ad is $19,999, you would have to add $1,500 or so for options, $700 to $1,200 for the dealer fee, $200 for the tag, and tax of about $1,500, changing the price by an additional $6,000 is in that range. So it's not really $19,999. That's what I'm saying. It's not real. And it's advertising that not just one dealer uses. That's what a lot of them do, because they're trying to make it as appealing as possible to get you to come in. And they think that's Hoyle. That's okay. It's not okay. If you don't want to give a fair price, don't talk about price in your ad. That's what they should do. So how do you know the real price? You don't. You're never going to know the real price. $4,500 would change your monthly payment by $100 a month on a 60-month loan. That's a big difference. You're advertising it for $350 a month. You get there and it's really $450 a month, right? And all of these things that they're talking about adding, tax and tag and dealer fee and all that stuff, that's gone the minute you buy it anyway. That's just additional depreciation. No resale value, no book ads for any of those things. Dealer options, factory options, it might add for air conditioning or sunroof a little bit. But for dealer installed options, it won't add anything. It won't add anything for the dealer fee. It won't add anything for sales tax. Yeah, it won't add anything for plates and register. And all that stuff is gone. That's just gone. It's the cost of doing business. On an EV, they'll try to deduct the gas you save over 4 or 5 years from the list price to show a better value. They neglect to mention that the price difference would pay for your gas for 5 or 6 years. That's right. You could drive, for the difference in price between the two, you could drive the gas vehicle for 5 or 6 years without spending a penny, just by using the money you would have paid to get an electric vehicle. And you'll be safer, and you'll have better resale value. Yep. And you don't have to worry about it burning your house down, and you'll be able to plan trips, and you won't be sitting around at the gas pump or the charging station trying to get charging. And look at the stories about people looking for chargers, that they get there and it doesn't work. There's been a lot of problem with that. They don't mention the charging costs. They don't charge your vehicle for free. No, it doesn't. It's not free. It's getting worse and worse. In fact, just the other day in the news, California was having a blackout and they asked people not to charge their vehicles. So what do? Not go to work that day and the next day because of the outage? That's what I'm saying. They haven't thought it out. It's not ready for prime time. It's just not. It's not even close to being ready for prime time, and we're being caught into it because it looks pretty. Oh, that looks pretty. Or it's quiet. Or I'll be saving the planet. No, you're not. It's not going to make any difference. Read the facts from the scientists. I've given you a bunch of names in other episodes. Look at the scientists from MIT and stuff and see what they say. No. You got enough. CO2's not doing anything. You got enough trees on this planet to handle 2 times the amount of CO2 that we produce. 3 times almost. They don't talk about that, though. Heck no. No, it's global warming. The storms are global warming. No, actually, the planet's cooler than it was 100 years ago, but they don't talk about that. That's the fake news. And the electric vehicles are part of that. They're part of the New World Order. So anyway, imagine it's only one company you could buy gas from. Like the electric company. There's only one electric company, right, in your area? What if there was only one gas station? You could only buy mobile. What do you think they do with the price if they're the only one selling gas? I don't think it takes a genius to figure that one out, does it? No, why is it going to be different with electric? And right now they only own 4% of the market. So they're being really careful. It's like when you go on a date. Your first date, that's the best they're ever going to look. That's the thing. They're never going to look any better. Well, it's an electric vehicle. When you buy one, right now is the best it's ever going to be. Because as the price of electric goes up and as things change in the market, you're going to find out that, wait a second, this isn't what I was told. This is what I signed up for, right? When they advertise any vehicle, they're just hoping you get interested enough to come in and find out. They use your questions and concerns to get you to commit based on the numbers and the pricing and the disclosure. They can adjust the monthly payment so that the fees don't have such a big effect by extending the term, the term of the loan. The payment looks like what you wanted, but it's another 24 months. They don't tell you that. Or how about this one? Price requires XYZ finance and dealer installed option. They make a bunch of extra money to get to that price, right? But if you're not doing total pricing, just like the out the door and total pricing, you're just not going to, if you don't find out what the interest rate is and the number of months at the time you got the payment, well, they can play those tricks on you. If you do, they can't. 1 or 2% interest rate difference is a couple of $1,000 on a term of a loan. It's not peanuts. And a bunch of extra things you probably wouldn't want for the ridiculous prices. But the dealership leads you to believe that they're already on the vehicle. Yep, so you think, well, they're already on there. I guess we got to have them. There must be something good about them, right? In the old days, we used to use what they're doing now in Colorado, push or pull or drag it for 2,000 guaranteed trade-in. We guarantee people 2,000 trade-in. Come in with anything. When people bring them in on wreckers, it was funny. Bring them in on a flatbed, and the flatbed, the thing would fall off. It didn't even run. All it was a $2,000 discount, and people knew because we made jokes about it on our ads. It was a funny thing, but people appreciated it, and it kind of cut through the normal situation. It was a little easier to deal at that point for people, they felt. And now they're doing it $6,000 for your junker in Colorado because you can buy a $15,000 overpriced, dangerous vehicle, but you get $6,000 for spending $15,000 too much. Factory stuff isn't that deceiving now. A $2,000 or $3,000 rebate, or they'll advertise 0%. Discounts or costs are built in anyway, but many manufacturers, give hidden incentive cash to the dealer so they can use that as they want to get aggressive in trading. Add it to your trade value, or we'll double the factory rebate, or they just keep it. But when the factory does that, they should be giving it to the public, but they don't. Some dealers use it to make deals, and you'll find a time when they can make deals when they got better deals. That's why you got to go in and start low. That's why you get your due diligence done to see if that's going on. And then if they do, you can work that into the negotiation process. And you can get that. But if they're not, well, then you can't. But television's just as bad. Most TV ads are dealer-sponsored, so they have the same tricks. I mean, there are some ads done by the manufacturer. And, like I said, all you'll see is a rebate or an interest rate. Companies like Mercedes-Benz, you won't see anything like that. You might see a special lease. Come in and lease this vehicle with $5,000 down for $350 a month. But they won't talk about a special interest rate. They won't talk about a discount. They won't talk about any rebates. And that's why they just appealed for that in Australia, because that's how they've been selling vehicles forever. Watch the ads, and a long disclosure at the end of the ad is much smaller print and not feasible to even read or comprehend in the amount of time they show it. You'll notice if the factory ad, there won't be any exact figures either, only a special interest rate. That's it. Maybe MSRP. They might have that in the ad. Maybe. Radio's the same. As far as the disclosure at the end of the ad, that's the one that's really funny if you listen to them. If you pay attention, you listen to them, you can hear them. The disclosure is often longer and faster speaking at a lower volume. Oftentimes, the disclosure is more words than the actual ad and dealer advertising. And it actually sounds like, and it's going so fast because they only got a few seconds left. It's not that they're trying to really dupe it, but they only left a few seconds for the disclosure, so they got to get it all in. Do you think they care about you if they're going to deceive you? Do you think they'd do anything they could to get the sale and pull those tricks on you? Think they care about you as a consumer? Not. No, their target is to sell, and that's what they do, and that's all they're concerned about. It's all gimmicks to get you in. Confuse the issue, sell you a vehicle. Dealerships depend on confusion. When have you ever purchased a vehicle, a truck, a motorcycle, a motorhome, a boat, anything big ticket, and everything was completely clear and up front? You tell me when that was. I'll guarantee if I was there at your house, I could ask you a question. You'd say, well, I don't know. I'd have to look. Yeah, you don't know. That's it in most cases. But there's some. I'm sure there's some sold that way, and you can get that way if you ask. They'll tell you, but most people don't ask. They don't ask the right questions, right? The business has turned into a barrage of gimmicks, and they're so crazy. There's no easy way to tell how they work and what's the best value. The big rebates and the trade-in overages generally indicate distressed merchandise. Anyway, I mean, companies with good product that's selling very well don't do rebate. You don't see any rebates on a Honda. Ever see any rebates on a Toyota? No, you'll see special rates or special accessories they'll give away maybe. And they'll talk about the celebration and come in and get a deal, but they don't tell you, they don't offer you anything in concrete. The really good sellers don't use that stuff in a misleading way. They don't have to. A good example of a positive approach is like what I talked about, Mercedes-Benz. Factory ads, never a rebate, never a percentage rate, never a discount. Like I said, they're a good example. They don't do anything like that. They might advertise a good lease payment. That's about it. That's not anything about a discount to get there. And now they're not using a discount to get there. What they'll do is they'll have a time when they'll put a little extra percentage on the residual value, which lowers the monthly payment. Instead of being the residual value being on a 4-year lease maybe 55%, they might raise it to 57%. That makes it, it's a little more owed against it at the end if you want to buy it, but your monthly payment was less. And that hopefully gets you in and entices you to buy, but they're not really doing anything to discount the vehicle. They think it's important for the product to not look or react like it's distressed. And it's probably true. And sometimes it probably is, but, it's like some of the manufacturers don't go through the distressed merchandise. The FTC is looking for obvious signs of consumer misleading. We, the public, have to keep them informed. That's our job. Hiding the dealer fee or advertising payments that require unreasonable credit ratings so they can bump you and collect confusing window stickers add-on. There are lots of other tricks they can do, right? You can go to the FTC, but a lot of times that stuff's not going to be doing anything about it because they'll just point to the sticker. It was on there. They just didn't read it. You see an ad for a vehicle like $350 a month. After you get to the dealer, there's a big down payment. They can do that. There's nothing. And normally it's in the disclosure in the ad. Normally at the bottom, you'll see a bunch of things disclosed, and you can tell right away. They say, if we could get you to keep the payment the same as we advertise, would you buy it? You say, yeah, if you get the payment the same, that's where I came in, I'll buy it. Well, then it's all of a sudden, instead of 66 months, it's 84 months. And it looks like you got to go, a lot closer, got a deal. The term extension was never mentioned. The problem is the customer thinks they got a deal, a special consideration. That's not the case. They didn't get anything. They got a long-term deal that will keep them upside down a long time, and they didn't get anything off and probably paid a huge profit to the dealer. It can be more subtle as well. They can do other things. Price and payment in 10 minutes certainly indicates that they think that all you care about is to know the price. And the faster the pace of the sale, that's the dealer's friend. Not time to deal talk, right? Talk price. Anything that happens quickly is the dealer's advantage. No question about that one. I won't read you any of the actual disclosures from the newspaper. Don't have to. Look in your own newspaper. At the bottom of it, find a dealer ad for cars, a car ad from a dealer, whether it be the local Toyota dealer, the local Ford. I don't care who it is. The manufacturer can't control the dealer, so you can have tricky advertising by any make, but you look at the ads and you'll see, and then look at the bottom and you'll see what I'm talking about. It might even say the prices are stock number 224, whatever the stock number is, KN2224. That's that stock number, and you have to add tax and tag and dealer fees, and you'll get a repurchase rebate. College, you have to have the college grad rebate of $800. First-time buyer's allowance and dealer installed options are maybe slightly better. Plus sales tax and dealer fee, $599. Registration, sales tax fees, includes rebates that apply to all. That would be a lot more upfront, right? Plus sales tax and dealer fee of $599. Registration, state fees, and includes rebates that apply to all. So they're not getting any tricky rebates in there. They're just telling you that it doesn't include tax and tag and the dealer fee. Additional rebate available depending on circumstances. That's about as honest as you're going to get if you're going to look at a dealer that's advertising price. The last one I mentioned is definitely better. Reading ads kind of indicate which dealer is the worst. I will say dealers that advertise the experience you'll have after the sale are more likely to be concerned about you and be more open and not so worried about the competitiveness of their price. Because, if you go to a dealership and they take better care of you and they have a better service department and they have better hours and they're easy to get to and they have, and it's clean and the people are friendly and everybody's in a good mood, that's worth a few $100. I don't care who you are. It's worth it to anybody. Well, that's why those guys, if they are a few hundred more, they don't even have to talk about it because they're doing something for it. They're looking for something for nothing. We talk about due diligence on Deal Talk. Don't use deal advertising for anything other than character measures. Not a single number in any ad can be trusted. Not ever. Not any dealer. Don't pay any attention to any price in an ad. Be prepared before you go in. The culture is throughout the entire store. Here's how to avoid the whole thing. Follow Deal Talk. Do the investigation, right? How can you tell a good dealer from the ads? No, it's not easy. But if they talk about what's good for you, they might be a good bet. Things like, what's their serviceability, availability? When are they open, in other words? Do they have pickup and delivery? How many hours are they open? Do they have flexible hours? They open on Saturday for service. Is the location easy to get to? Is the experience something they talk about? You come in and we'll take care of you. We're not going to pressure you. Blah, 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 blah. If that's true, when you go in to look for a vehicle, you can tell a lot while you're looking. Remember, you look for a vehicle first, pick out which one, then you go home and do the due diligence, then you go back and talk price. When you're looking to pick out the vehicle, how did they treat you? Are they courteous? Do they have good customer satisfaction ratings? Is there anything in the Better Business Bureau? Those are things that'll tell you who to buy from. If they answer your questions completely and with complete disclosure, that may be a good sign. And if what they tell you is accurate, that's good. That means something, right? Get the due diligence done. It isn't easy, but what's worth anything that's easy? Nothing I know of. And if you go to a place and you're really happy with the way you're treated and everything goes well and they're friendly and you get all your prices and they aren't the cheapest, you still have a decision to make, right? You can still use that argument with them. You go in and normally they'll be flexible to some. They'll say, well, we can't match that guy's price. He doesn't do anything after the sale. We spend some money on customer service. How about if we split it with you? And you can tell a dealer like that that's being so upfront about how they are when you got a better deal. They're not afraid of that. They'll try to work with you as best they can. You're not going to offend them. They're not nervous about what the price situation. Most of it can be done online, most of your due diligence anyway. You don't have to go to the dealership for that, right? Compare OTD. Who cares how they got to the figure? 2 MSRPs and one dealer says, well, ours has got stripes and molding. Who cares? What is the bottom line, including tax? That's all I care about. That's the thing that matters. What's the out-the-door figure? Or what's the CPI if it's a payment? What's the complete payment information, right? Stick to the numbers and terms, a.k.a. out the door. If it's a payment, know the term. That's the one they trick you with the most, right? The same with a lease. Ignore the ads. Be sure the dealer is quoting payments based on your yearly mileage needs. And right term, 36 months or less, never over 36 months. I don't care what anybody tells you. Don't go over 36 months. When I say ignore the ads, primarily the numbers. I mean newspapers, radio and television, internet, and social media. When it comes to numbers, ignore every media there is. I don't care what one it is. Don't pay any attention to it. Your due diligence will take care of the numbers. And like I said, looking at the ads and looking at disclosures is a great character judge for dealer to dealer. You can tell a lot about a dealer by how he writes his ads. No question about it. Well, that's Deal Talk for this week. If you have a question or request or even a comment, please call me. Callers, it's 407-801-4071. That's 407-801-4071. Or you can email me at dealtalkpodcast@gmail.com or dealtalk@mail.com. Please don't forget to do the one thing that I ask you to do. Tell your friends and family. Tell them about the podcast. Give them a chance to save some money because they will. Everybody will benefit from the podcast. And when they do, you'll be a hero for it. It's not like they're going to call me up and tell me thank you. They're going to tell you thanks for telling them about it, and you'll be a hero. No question about it. And get a copy of The Informed Buyer. I'm telling you, that informed buyer will do more for you as a consumer in writing than anything you can get off the net. I mean, it's not as good as the podcast because I can't change the book every week. I can't add things to it. You notice, like, we go over subjects more than once, and we go over them because new information's come out, and you need to know about it. And that's why there's spaced repetition of the stuff to make you remember it. But get a copy of the Informed Buyer. It's $3. How can you lose for $3 lousy bucks? I don't know what more I could do for people. Give it away for free. I don't know. I'm not doing that because I got to pay these guys for doing it. However I can help you, contact me, and you'll hear from me. Everybody hears from me to contact me. You contact me, you'll hear from me. And remember, every payment you get should be CPI, complete payment information, the amount, the months, the rate, any required down payment to get to those terms, not just on the first payment quote, but every single time they quote you a payment, you get that information because you just never know. You don't want to find out, oh, we changed that, and then you didn't tell them and all. No, just get it, and that way you don't have to worry about it. And every cash price you get should be all in. Every single cost required to buy the vehicle, the tax, the plates, the dealer fee, aftermarket options, everything. That's called OTD, out the door. And one more thing. Remember what I told you about on the podcast? There's people trying to steal the name of my podcast. Figure that out, Deal Talk. And be careful that you're getting the right one. Mine has a picture of a blue and red car in the front with a microphone in the window. There's a couple of guys. One guy's a big shot from Washington that went to Harvard. He's stealing the name. That goes to show you what kind of ethics they teach you in college nowadays. That's ethical guy. Companies like iTunes are trying to work on it. But anyway, just be sure that you're getting my podcast if you want to know about how to buy a car or how to avoid the tricks. This is the way to go.